What's going on, Raider Nation? Welcome to a True Raider podcast. Right now I didn't really have this live scheduled in advance. I just kind of jumped on last minute. I had my son in the bath, and I'd been listening to, this morning listened to Graphic Raider, Wasted Talent. Sanjeev put out a video, Raider D put out a couple of videos, and I was just, listening to everybody's stuff, and I realized that there was this time slot that I didn't see anybody scheduled in, from right now it's 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time is where I'm at. And then there's really nothing until Raiders report comes on at 4:30. And so I figured, man, I'll just jump on and shoot the shit with the nation. James Williams, what's up, man? What's up? You know what? I want to test this out, man. Last night I went live, boom, and I couldn't put any chats up on the screen. I was all frozen. My computer was wigging out. I had too many things open, and it got a little bit weird, but it's all right. It worked out, welcome to the chat. Salute, man. Yeah, man. Ernest, draft day, man. Happy draft day. TRP, we here. What's TRP, man? Let me know what TRP is. Betsy Bowman, welcome. What's up? I'm gonna be straight with you guys. I don't really have anything planned out for today. Usually if I go live, I like to talk about something to get us started and then just kind of jump from there. And about 15 minutes ago, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and jump on live. I'm so excited for the draft. We got 4 hours to go, and I can't sit with myself, man. I'm super excited. There's so many things that are up in the air, and I think that we're taking a step back and being able to really, I guess, get back into realistic mode. There was all that Jaden Daniels news that went out, and I know for me, I got really excited because that's the guy that I really want to get. Honestly, I don't really think it's going to happen. I think that they're going to take another pick up the phone again and make some calls today and see if they can make anything happen today. But honestly, he's probably going to be a commander, and if he doesn't end up being a commander, I think we'll take a swing at him. But there's some other things I've seen get proposed out there. And I like all the suggestions. I definitely like all the suggestions. Okay, Ernest, that's what it is. It stands for True Raider Podcast. I should have noticed that one, right? Let's see, James, man. Let's get a QB. I think that it's necessary for us to pick up a quarterback. Gardner Minshew and Aidan O'Connell are definitely good quarterback options. I really, if we end up rolling forward with them, I'm not going to be pissed. But I really don't think that that's us really trying to be in win now mode. I think if we either get Jaden Daniels, which is very unlikely, but I still got a little bit until they call his name, man. I still got some hope on it. Or we're gonna get a Michael Penix Jr., which I've told you guys, he was my number one, prospect for this year until Jaden Daniels started to gain some steam, and I started really looking at Jaden Daniels more, and I started really liking his tape, his interviews, all that stuff, and I really started getting into that train, but really Michael Penix Jr. is a great option. I saw somebody propose that, we might pick up a Terrion Arnold or Fuaga in round one and then trade back into, later into round one and be able to pick up a Michael Penix Jr. If that's a reality, like I would be super, super happy with that. I don't think that Penix is going to fall that far, but, somebody was telling me that, really Penix, if he makes it to 13, then it's pretty unlikely for a team that's drafting after us to pick him up. And if that was the case, I'd be super happy to be able to pick up either a right tackle or a cornerback and then, take a couple of steps back, pick up Penix. Even if we sacrifice our second and third round pick this year, I wouldn't be upset about that at all. Because then you walk away with your quarterback, you walk away with either a right tackle or a corner. Man, we'll be in good shape. Raider Deb, salute. Welcome aboard. Man, I like that shirt. Definitely like that shirt. Let's see. Ernest, what's going on, man? You can't always get what you want, but if you try, you might get what you need. The thing is, man, is that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? And I really like that they went ahead and they took a shot and they made calls and they're trying to see if they can move up, because if you don't ask, it's going to be a no. I remember when I ended up with the job I'm at, because I'll be straight with you guys, man. I'm a convicted felon and I work inside of a jail, right? And, the thing that happened there was, my wife told me, like, hey, look, there's this job that at the jail that has a, your qualifications. And I was just like, there's no way that that's going to happen. And she said, do you want to uh, have them tell you no, or do you want to tell yourself no? And it just kind of blew me away, right? And so, it just thing happened like that. And so, if we don't take those shots, then we're gonna get no's, right? And if we tell ourselves no, then what kind of steps are we going to really make to building this team for the future? Let's see. Raider Deb, Fuaga, Mitchell, and Penix, if not Daniels. I like Mitchell more than Arnold. Some people say that Arnold just really has better presence and I mean, I've also seen people do breakdowns where they're like, he wasn't even, cornerback one on his team because of Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think that's a bit of a toss-up. I think if we got either of those guys, I'd be super happy. Fuaga, I mean, that would be amazing to really, because you win games in the trenches, right? But if we end up in picking up a corner or Penix at 13, there's plenty of right tackles or guards later in the draft that we could pick up. And we still got Thayer Mumford. I'm wondering, if this regime really feels like Mumford can be that guy at right tackle. 93 Navman, welcome, salute, bro. I just heard from a good friend that Panthers interested to trade back out of 33 with the Raiders. Panthers get number 44 and a fourth rounder and our 2025 second rounder. You know what, man? If we could move to that number 33, I wonder what they're targeting at that spot, right? I think that if Penix falls past 13, there's not a lot of teams that would move in to scoop him up at that point. And if that's the case, and we could go and get a Michael Penix Jr. at number 33, I honestly don't think he's going to fall that far, but if we could do that, man, I would be excited. Who do you think, Nav, man? Who do you think we're going to pick up if we pick up that number 33? I think that Telesco is going to be aggressive, man. I really do. James, Rattler is cool, but be good to have another snake. Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest appeal I see with Rattler. You have a second coming of the snake, right? But, realistically, I don't know that Rattler is really much better than the quarterbacks that we already have on the roster. I think that Gardner Minshew, I saw this breakdown of his stats compared to Trevor Lawrence, and like he has more touchdowns and less picks, and I really liked that. I don't know if Gardner Minshew ends up being the starter over Aidan O'Connell if we don't get a quarterback, but if we picked up a Rattler, I don't know that he would start this year. I think it would be a three-way battle to see who wins that starting job. And honestly, if we got a Rattler and he won that starting job, then that means that he really showed out. And I wouldn't be pissed about it. I wouldn't be pissed. But depending on where we picked him up, right? Because a lot of people are projecting him to go in the second round. And I don't know if I'd want to spend a second round pick on Rattler, like a third or a fourth. I wouldn't be upset. All right, Raider Deb Penix has heart too. I've been watching a lot of his film lately when I started losing hope on JD5. And I think that that's the route that a lot of people went, right? Is that they were looking at JD5 and then they kind of lost hope and stepped back into, well, what about Penix and what about these other prospects, right? And for me, it was the opposite, right? I was looking at Penix and then all of a sudden JD5 popped up on my radar because I don't watch college football very much, right? And I started looking into JD5 and just getting really impressed with this guy. And it's kind of hard, because like, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes like I get a little bit of attached to prospects, just thinking like, man, like, what, I'm really convinced on this guy. But it really sucks because usually when I get attached to a prospect, we don't even, turns out he wasn't even on the Raiders draft board anyway. So, but yeah, man. So like, moving on from Penix up to JD5, I'm all about that, and I'm still all about that. But if Michael Penix is our settle pick, man, that we'd be doing good, man. We'd be doing good. Tom Davis, Penix, and Blake Fisher. Blake Fisher is one of those guys that like originally, just a couple months ago, I was doing some mock drafts, and like Blake Fisher was like, popping up in the fourth round a lot and like sometimes in the third round. And then all of a sudden it's like they updated and he's going to second, and I'm like, I'm really wondering what's to that, right? Is that just because a lot of people are selecting him and the algorithm of the mock drafts is really just changing where he lands? or what's the reason why is he moving up draft boards, and so I'm really interested in that. Penix and Blake Fisher, man, I wouldn't be upset about that at all. Not at all. See, Navman, my guess is that scenario. Penix at 13, offensive line at 33. And I didn't really think about it that way, but that is probably the more responsible way to go about that, because there's a lot more offensive linemen than there are quarterbacks in this draft. And so if we go ahead and secure Penix at 13 and then move up a little bit and maybe pick up on one of these tackles, maybe one of these tackles, JC Latham or one of these guys falls down a little bit, right? And because there's a lot of tackles early on, and I don't know that they're all going to get picked up. I think that at least one of them is going to fall a little bit, right? And if we have somebody fall to the beginning of the second round, and pick up one of these first round prospect tackles to guard Penix, because he's going to need somebody on the right side to guard the blind side, man, because Mumford is good, right? But I don't know, man. I don't know. He showed up when Colton Miller went down with that injury, but I don't know if they're that confident in him. It could be that they decide to get at Christian Haynes or somebody like that and tie up the middle a little bit more at right guard, and then maybe they have that confidence in Mumford, but I'm really not sure about that. Let's see. Panthers have 0 first rounders because of their shitty decisions. Maybe they're trying to stack up picks. If I were them, I'd be trying to stack up picks right now, because I don't think that they're going to pick up somebody at 33 that's going to make all the difference for that team. I think it's going to be better for them to try to pick up more picks, because we got a really deep draft right now. And with that deep draft, I think that, there's plenty of good players that they can use to try to build up that roster, because Bryce Young was thrown into an awful situation. And the thing that gets me about the whole talk with Jaden Daniels and selling the farm to move up and get him is that a lot of people have made it sound like we're going to put him in a Bryce Young situation, and that's not the case at all, because we really we have a stacked roster, right? We have very few holes. We need 1 or 2 people on our offensive line. I think we could get away with 1 only, and then we need a corner and maybe a linebacker, right? I think that our linebacking core is serviceable as is, but I would love to see us pick up a linebacker for sure. Let me see. Dropkick Socks, man. Welcome back. Welcome back. Do you have any worries about Penix's past injuries? I do and I don't, right? And I think that he showed out. He was on the Rich Eisen show yesterday and talking about, like, just that not a lot of people would really bounce back from what he's been through and really just show up with the amount of heart that he does, right? And I think that there's a lot in that, because you know, the fact that he's been through those injuries and he's not scared, right? We saw what happened with Derek Carr when he broke his leg, and all of a sudden he was playing scared. And it really changed who he was as a quarterback. And Penix has continued to get better and better and better despite having these injuries, And so I think it's put him in a position where he plays smarter, right? He's not doing those things that Jane Daniels does, where he's, taking those huge hits and going out on these big runs, even though he's very fast. And I think that Penix really offers a lot of good, right? Because he's mostly a pocket passer, but if he's a mobile running quarterback, not a running quarterback, right? And I think that that's really the ideal version of a mobile quarterback. You watch Josh Allen, you watch Mahomes, all these guys that are pretty mobile, but they're not really run first guys, right? But they have the ability to go out and run for a first down if needed, and they don't put themselves in harm's way, because you end up with an Anthony Richardson, right? And Anthony Richardson was one of those guys I was hoping was going to fall to 7 last year, because I figure he's going to be a good prospect, especially if he gets the right coaching. I really think that Anthony Richardson could be very good, but as predicted, he got hurt right away. And Garner Minshew had to start all those games for the Colts, and he really showed out and he did a good job. So yeah, his injury history, what I don't want is he takes one more big injury and ends up like a Jimmy Garoppolo, where all of a sudden he can't throw the deep ball, and and then they're stacking the box on us, and then we're in bad shape. Ernest, I'm just glad this day is here for once. We have a good GM who came from the Bill Polian tree. we're in good hands. And I honestly think that we're in good hands. When they first like announced that we're getting Tom Telesco, the picture that they used for the article I saw, like my first reaction was that guy just has a face that you want to punch, and I put that out there, right? And then I had to take a step back and say, you know what, I think I was wrong, right? Because after watching his first presser, I was really impressed by him, right? And I started looking more into him and just seeing like, this I think that Tom Telesco is a very humble guy. I think he's a very smart guy. I think that he doesn't think that he has all the answers, but he's smart enough to make the decisions, right? And I really see him as somebody that's going to lean on his team, lean on his scouts, lean on coaches, owners, all that stuff, in order to make the best decision for the team. And really, like, I feel like Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, like, they tried to pretend like they were listening to players, but it didn't really seem like they did. And I think it's very important to listen to players on, like, hey, like, what do you guys see? Who's going to fit well with you? Who do you think that you're going to play well with, right? And even if you don't go with that, get their feedback. That way, the more information that we have, the better decision we can make. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm really happy that the smoke season is going to be gone, and we're going to stop having all these rumors, and it's just going to be clear, hard facts. Let's see. Navman, Fuaga, if nothing changes on trades, in my opinion, trade back for Penix. If we can pick up more capital, especially in those first couple of rounds, there's so many good players that if we can pick up an extra one or two of them, I'd be excited, man. I'd be excited. Bryce would be a stud in the Raiders offense. Navman, I think that he would do a lot better in the Raiders offense than he would over there in Carolina, man, because Panthers, they don't have it, man. And honestly, I think that they're gonna waste that dude's career. There was a lot that I saw on him where, like, it's kind of like with Caleb Williams this year, right? All the hype's around him. I don't want him, right? If Caleb Williams fell to 3 and then we traded up to go get him, I'd be a little bit concerned, but I think that he's still going to be a good player, right? But I don't know if he's all the hype. I honestly think Jaden Daniels is better than Caleb Williams. I know that that's a take that a lot of people won't agree with. That's honestly how I feel. Same with Bryce Young, right? I thought CJ Stroud was way better than Bryce Young. So I was really surprised that he went first overall, especially with his size. See, when you give up one of the best young wide receivers, Panthers and DJ Moore, you get to get a number one pick in QB. What is the mindset? That franchise is in big trouble at this point from the top down. And that's what we were talking about last night, right now, man, where if we were to move on from Devontae Adams to move up and get Jaden Daniels, I think we'd still be in a better position than the Panthers were with making that move with DJ Moore and Bryce Young. But that's really nasty, because then you put him in a position where he's kind of lacking in the receiving core. And if we were able to do that and then pick up maybe a good receiver in the draft, and Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker and Michael Mayer, like, and those guys really hold it down. Maybe DJ Moore, not DJ Moore, DJ Turner has a breakout year. Like, maybe it would kind of work out, but you really don't want to take away from the weapons, get the weapon, right? It's like if you can stack, then stack. And I think that that's kind of where they're at. Is I don't know if it's just that these teams don't want to move back from the 2 and 3 picks, if we're just not offering enough, or if they're saying, well, I like your offer, but I want you to throw in Devontae Adams, or I want you to throw in Max Crosby. And then the Raiders are saying, nah, we're good. I don't know. And honestly, we might never know. I hope that in the coming weeks, there's, more talk about what that trade looked like and what they offered. That way we can get some insight on what actually happened. Uh, Deb, right. Finally, draft day. It's been dragging these days leading up to announcement for AP to be named as our head coach. Took hella days too. You know what? I felt like that too, man. And I really, I would have been surprised if we didn't get AP as our coach. I think that, there was enough buzz happening in the nation where, if I think that Mark Davis knew if he didn't pick up AP that, we're just going to be pissed, and it's like, why not pick up AP, right? For one, AP, he's going to fill the seats, right? And that's over everything else. Mark Davis has to be concerned on, are we buying tickets, right? Because those tickets are going to sell, but if they're not selling to Raiders fans, you're going to really have this really awful thing happen. And then I think that's also part of the reason why they're willing to be making calls for Jaden Daniels, because I think that everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are going to go out there and they're going to buy a Jaden Daniels jersey if he became a Raider. Now, if Michael Penix Jr. becomes a Raider, how many of you guys are going to go buy a jersey? I don't know if I want a jersey that says Penix on the back, right? I mean, it's kind of funny. And honestly, I might end up getting one. Usually I like to stick with players like Max Crosby, just because like I ended up picking up a Josh Jacobs jersey and I knew that it was like kind of the beginning of the end. And I still picked up one with the number 8 on it. And I kind of knew, like, you know what? He's probably going to be in his last year as a Raider. And sure enough, he was. And oh, well, I made a bad pickup. I also just ordered a Jacoby Myers jersey because this year for Halloween, I'm going to be I'm going to wear a Michael Myers mask with the Jacoby Myers jersey, and it's going to be fun. I got little kids, right? So I got to go out trick or treating. I get to go out trick or treating, I should say. Ernest, trade back 5 spots, get an extra pick for Tyler Gooten, and then 44, grab a right guard. BB, we're going to need to build the right side, and that's not a bad idea, right? But so I guess what you're proposing there is not getting a quarterback. So then we move back, we pick up a right tackle, we pick up a right guard. Both those guys be starters, and Mumford would kind of be our swing, and then we build that right side, and then if we have Gardner Minshew or Aidan O'Connell, they can perform better if they're really having some time in the pocket. They're getting protected. Honestly, it's not the flashiest move, it's not the sexiest move, but I think that if that were to happen, I think a lot of us would end up being happy with. I know I would be happy because it's like you build those trenches, we get the defensive line, we get the offensive line, and then there's time to add players on top of that, right? And we have most of our weapons in those other spots, and then Aiden O'Connell, because we know what we have with Gardner Minshew, right? He's I'd say maybe I don't even know if I would say top 20 QB. I don't know. I didn't even know where I would rank Minshew. Let me know where you guys would rank Gardner Minshew. But Aiden O'Connell, we don't really have a good read on Aiden O'Connell, right? Because he got thrown into a really bad situation with Josh McDaniels. And then he ended up taking over. He didn't really have a good offseason as, prepping to be the starter. He didn't have all those reps. And then he kind of got thrown in there. He did pretty awful under Josh McDaniels when Antonio Pierce came on and put him as starter. He showed a lot of good promise, but he also showed, a lot of inexperience. And so to be able to put him in as starter, I think that we'd really get to at least get a good reading on what we have in him, because even though he's not fast, he's not very mobile. He is a good quarterback. He really is. I would prefer for him to be like the best backup quarterback in the league. Because I mean, how many backup quarterbacks started games last year? I think it was like a record-breaking number. I don't even remember the number. But when you have starting quarterbacks go down with injuries, you need to have a guy that can come in as QB2 and really take on that starting role and show out, because your whole season can be gone if you lose your starter if you don't have a good backup. Ending up with a Brian Hoyer or something. Travis Kelce has a face I'd like to punch. Yeah, you know, that whole thing of him singing "Viva Las Vegas" and things like that. Like, honestly, I'd be surprised if his agent and the staff on the Chiefs wouldn't be upset with him for having that kind of unsportsmanlike behavior, you could say. But I mean, I think that people can just kind of have what they have and behave the way they behave, and honestly, there's not that many repercussions for a lot of people. I just know if it were me in that position, I would have taken a way different approach for sure. Let's see, pretty much the same weight. Yeah, I mean, that wait for the draft has just been killer, guys, and that's part of why I wanted to go live because I was just like, I was sitting there and just kind of like, oh, dude, I just want this to happen already, you know. And so it's like, all right, let's get on with the nation. Let's talk some football. Let's see where people are sitting. You know, it's like, have you changed your opinion since yesterday or day before the last week? Like, where do you really feel that you sit right now with our picks? Are you content with the idea of not get Jaden Daniels? Were you always content with that idea? Let me know your thoughts. Let me see. Um, Mark Davis obviously listened to the nation, kicking Josh McDaniels out the door. With AP, he listened again. Hopefully, he continues to listen. And, honestly, I think that the majority of people have been pushing for the Jaden Daniels thing, even though there's a ton of people that really don't want to mortgage our future. And I think that that's part of what's going on there. I think the other part is that Mark Davis is in a position that's like, all right, AP, like if you want your guy, like go get your guy. And, I actually have I have a suspicion that Mark Davis told Tom Telesco, go ahead and make that trade. We're not going to hold it against you. If anything, we'll hold it against Antonio Pierce, right? And, if that's the attitude, like that's great because I don't think that Tom Telesco would want to go out here and risk his job because if he gets fired from another GM spot, it's going to be a little bit harder for him to get a job. Now, if Antonio Pierce loses this position, I think it'd take a long time for him to get this level of position again. But honestly, I think that a college team would pull him on as a head coach if that were the case. See, I love AOC. Wish he was more mobile because he is gutsy. Really, there's a lot of rumors that he's been really like he lost some weight, that he's been really working out, working on his movement. I don't think that he can get too much faster. But even like Tom Brady, even though he was kind of like a statue, he would still get out there and rush for a first down. And and that was back when you could actually hit a quarterback. I think that Tom Brady was part of like that whole like let's make rules to stop hitting quarterbacks and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think that if he could just learn how to navigate the pocket a little bit better, move around, maybe run out to the right side and get a throw off, those kind of moves, I think that would really improve his game a lot, like a lot. See, I think Penix will be gone before 9. That's why O-line needs to be addressed this year. Our defense is way better, so build the O-line. I have numerous direction we can shoot for. Yeah, and that's one of the great things that's going on with this draft is like, okay, if we can't get a quarterback, cool. Let's move on to the next position, right? And it's like O-line, if we don't go for O-line right away, well, there's plenty of depth in that, and we could pick up in the later rounds. Let's pick up a corner. Let's pick up a linebacker. Honestly, don't really think that they're going to go running back. Maybe if they find a good one later in the rounds, but we'll see on that. Let's see. Did I get my computer fixed? Yeah, basically I had a bunch of apps open that I didn't realize when I went live yesterday. My kid had been playing games on it, and so he had like, Xbox and all these other things open on it, and I didn't even snap. And so I think that that was really jamming things up. Also, today I'm not sharing the screen, at least not so far. And that was what froze everything up. As soon as I went to share screen, there was a box that popped up in front of my screen. I couldn't see anything. I could see the chats, but I couldn't click on them. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even end the live stream. Those of you that were on, I had to get on my phone and log in the StreamYard and then edit from my phone. So, I think I got it resolved. We'll see if we have any issues today. Let's see. You already ate your draft ribeye. Oh man. Dang, dude. Yeah, that was a hard one for me too, man. I got some taquitos and some nachos and stuff that I'm planning on, eating during the draft. And man, like I was just really just gonna go eat them just like you, man. And that was part of my thought process when I decided to go ahead and go live. Was like, man, I need to do something with myself because I'm going stir crazy over here. Oh dang. What's up, Schlatter? What's going on, man? Glad you made it. Today's the day, dude. I'm so excited right now. Um, man, yeah, Eric and I used to work together, man. This is a good guy over here. I'm really glad that you made it today, man. Really, really pumped, man. Eric, let me know who you think we're gonna pick up today. See, AOC needs an epic O line to be more comfortable. And honestly, if we pick up some of these really good a right tackle and a right guard, and we give AOC some time in the pocket, like this dude's gonna show out, man. Um, I think that you give him an extra 1 or 2 seconds to make the read and make the throw. I think that he'll do really good. A lot of what I saw with him is that like and it kind of scared me a little bit like Derek Carr, right? Where when the pressure got on him, like he'd kind of like freak out, and I think that that game where Khalil Mack sacked him 6 times, I think he got what did he get sacked 8 times total that game? It really put him in a position to fail. And I think that Josh McDaniels really made a bad decision on that part and really, just kind of hung him out to dry. And then he'd like make comments like when people would say, "Well, why don't you start Aidan O'Connell?" And he'd say, "Yeah, it's not preseason," and it was really weird, right? Because that was supposed to be his guy, but then he acted so negative towards him. It was man, that was a funky decision for us to bring in Josh McDaniels. And I know Mark Davis, he loves the Patriots and Tom Brady and wants to bring in that like winning culture into the Raiders, but like that's like two opposite, worlds right there. And you can't mix those worlds. It's just, I don't think that was ever going to work. Ernest, I waited to get the phone from the old battle axe just in time for your show. Now she's cleaning my house in a see-through bikini. Okay, man. Well, it sounds like Ernest is having a good draft day, man. Props to you, man. Props to you. See, now, man, just watched a video where Charles Woodson came off the rails in anticipation of the Raiders killing today. Love the OGs, stay in the house, and keep the young bucks pumped up. And that's one of the things that, like, I think is super awesome about the Raiders. Like, we got this alumni that really is just shows up with these guys, mentors these guys. There was a lot of stuff with Josh Jacobs and the mentorship, going on. With Allen and stuff like that. And I love to see that kind of stuff, right? Because that whole once a Raider, always a Raider. If you don't have your alumni in the building and actually showing up for stuff, then what does that really mean, right? That means that we just have respect for you, and if you were ever in a Raiders uniform, then we'll claim you. That's a little weird to me if you're not also giving back, right? We don't want these like Antonio Brown, going on social media and saying that he's going to retire a Raider, right? Even though he never played a single snap for us. See, let's see on that, man. Um, Raider X. As I said on X, I really like AOC, and he does need some work, but I do get it's not as exciting for Raider Nation as a first round QB pickup. And like that's really what it's like. Would I be way more excited if we get the news like where Commanders are up for number 2, they're on the clock, and then all of a sudden and we have a trade, right? Or if they pick up Drake May, and then the excitement of like, oh my God, are the Raiders going to trade with New England and get that number 3 and pick up Jaden? Like, of course, that's going to be super exciting, right? Or if we pick up Michael Penix Jr. at 13, super exciting. If we pick up a right tackle, and then we get news later on, oh, the Raiders are trading up and select Michael Penix, like excitement all over the place, right? But if we pick up a right tackle and a right guard, it's gonna be like wah wah wah. But like really not really, right? Because honestly, we need some to build that line, right? And if we have a sturdy line, like there's a lot of people in the nation that are super confident that, like, look, we already have quarterbacks. Why would we trade the farm to go get one when we could just stick with what we got and then just move forward? So, I honestly, none of those takes are ones that piss me off. None of them are like, I can't see that being like really the only one that I don't like is people saying we should pick up Bo Nix at 13. Um, I don't want Bo Nix. I don't even want Bo Nix in the second round. Um, and that's just where I stand. What I see is somebody who can't make the deep throws. They're going to stack the box on us. We're going to have the beginning of last season all over again. I don't even know. I mean, Bo Nix is a little bit older and more experienced, so he'd probably be ready to start this year. I don't know, man. And if I'm wrong, somebody clip this and come back at me and say, "Look, you were wrong. We picked up Bo Nix and he was great," or somebody else picked up Bo Nix and he was great. Whatever. Um, Clip it if you want. Matt, welcome, man. Minshew is going to beat out AOC. He should have sat last year to learn the NFL game. 0-3 to the Vikings. That game was so hard to watch, especially because my daughter was here, right? And her and her dad are Vikings fans, and you know, um, it was just, man, that was hard. That was really hard. And then the next game we came out and scored 63 points on the Chargers, right? Insane. But you're right. AOC needed to sit for a year, at least 1 year. And it could be that he needs to sit for 2 years. And it could be that Gardner Minshew's that guy this year, AOC's the guy next year. I don't really know if that's how we would go, but I can see a world where that happens. But yeah, Minshew, he's got that scramble. He's more mobile. There's a lot of things that he has that Aidan O'Connell doesn't have, but there's also a lot of things that Aidan O'Connell has that Minshew doesn't have. Battle axe, huh? Yeah, I gotta say, man, I don't know what a battle axe. I mean, you guys maybe let me know, right? Maybe it says pause worthy. I don't know. Ball and chain. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see on that one, man. That's definitely not my generation's terminology for sure. Fuaga or Mitchell at number 13. Yeah, Matt. I mean, either of those guys, if that's who we call up, I'll be super happy, right? Because Fuaga, he's a dog, right? And add that to our offensive line would be amazing. But Mitchell just has that present. He's got those pass breakups. To have him opposite of Jack Jones, man, I don't know what offenses are going to do against this defense if we pick up a Mitchell, because it's like, what are they gonna do, right? I mean, we got stacked D line. Our linebacking core is better than what people thought it would be, and then to just be stacked with Nate Hobbs, Jack Jones, and Mitchell, geez, insane, insane. That's a great for the normal draft process. Yeah, no bow at all, Deb. No bow at all. I want to know, man. You guys let me know, man. Uh let's see. So Bo Nix got smashed by Penix every single time they lined up. Pause. But yeah, I mean, I don't really think Nix is that guy. Maybe he's not that guy for us. Um, there's been rumors about the Broncos having interest there. There was also some rumors about the Broncos and the Eagles might make a trade. And if that's the case, then the Broncos will probably be trying to pick up Bo Nix in the late first round. I don't really know what that's going to look like. And honestly, if they pick him up, I'm not going to be really worried about it either. All right, Eric, hoping we pick up Daniels. I truly believe Minshew is going to start. I think the Rays have accepted him in. Don't think AOC will cut it for us. And AOC he's a great backup, and I want to keep him on the team. People are talking about trading him. I don't think that's the move, man, because he's on that rookie deal. He was a fourth round pick, so he's on the cheap. And he can step in and do those starting reps if he needs to, right? And he can even win games. He proved that he can win games. So I think that really, you're right on that. Now, if we picked up Daniels is clear cut. He's going to be the starter. I don't think there's any question. I think AP would definitely still put him to battle it out, just because AP would want to challenge Daniels anyway and put it in his head like, look, just because I chose you at the top of round one doesn't mean that you're just automatically that guy. But it's looking less and less like we're going to be able to pick him up. That hype train is kind of past, but we will see, because it's now today is when we're going to see those last minute trades that all of a sudden, somebody says, you know what, screw it. I'll go ahead and throw in Colton Miller into that deal, right? Commanders, they need a, oh, I didn't get a snap. Eric, you're on Facebook, man. Well, I'm surprised that the comments come through. That's pretty cool. Yeah, right now I'm streaming on X, YouTube, and Facebook. I haven't seen any from X, so I don't know if those comments pop up in here, but that's pretty cool, man. Let's see. New York Giants. Oops, chat's moving too fast on me, man. I'm pulling a wasted talent, old man gang right now, man, and I'm not keeping up with. Okay, I want to see this. New York Giants trying to trade up in front of the Raiders to get Penix. So the Giants, they're picking at number 6, right? And on the Rich Eisen show, there was JJ McCarthy was on there, and he flat out said that he thinks he's going to go to the Giants, that he spent the most time there, and that he already really knows their system pretty good and all these things, right? And I don't know if that was JJ McCarthy saying, hey, come get me, because he's just hoping to be able to go that early in the draft, or if there's really something to the smoke there, right? Could be that the Giants decide, let's pick up JJ McCarthy, sit him for a year behind Daniel Jones, or maybe they're just done with Daniel Jones and they're going to pull Broncos and cut their quarterback that has this giant contract. I don't really know what that's going to look like, but we're going to see today, that's for sure. You heard Philadelphia might move up for Fuaga. You know, I heard that they're really looking for a corner, but I wouldn't doubt it if they wanted to move up and get a Fuaga, man. He's a beast. Sorry guys, I'm kind of sick, so all this talking's getting my throat dry. Raider Paul, salute true Raider. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here, man. Let's see. I love the comparison I seen on X showing the stats of Minshew and Trevor Lawrence side by side. GM has better stats than TL. And Gardner Minshew did have better stats. He had more touchdowns and less picks, right? And that's really something to think about, because Trevor Lawrence is like this like golden boy from that draft of like he's the only one left out of all that whole draft. There's all those first rounders that went, and all of them have been traded for peanuts. And Trevor Lawrence is the only one who's still on the team that drafted him. And Garner Minshew has better stats than him, I think that there's a lot there. I think there really is, Navman. Jeez, man. This is the first time I haven't been able to keep up with the chat, man. I'll get used to this, guys. I don't go live very much. I'm starting to go live more. So I'll start learning the controls a little bit better. I do not see a scenario where Penix goes to the Giants, but who knows? And I really don't think that they have it out for them either. I just had a Giants fan that was texting me because I sent him the article, talking about JJ McCarthy wanting to go to the Giants, and told him, you guys are going to get JJ, and he was all pissed off about it because he's been saying for a couple months that they're going to get JD5. And that's a possibility, man. Let's see, Philly needs a center. Yeah, if Wog is definitely not a center. I do know that they need a corner though. Greg, welcome, man. Welcome. Let's see, what Commanders does trade back with Raiders, and Raiders get Jane Daniel. Then Commanders grab a Bo Nix and bring him in with Marcus Mariota, former Duck QB mentoring a Duck QB. Honestly, I'd be super happy about that. I don't think that they would do that. I'm actually surprised that maybe they don't want to take the draft from us because they don't want to go back as far as 13, but they could move back to 13 and then move back up. I think that part of what happened, because there was a rumor that went out, and I didn't see any major news things putting it out there, but Mitchell Renz was talking about that we had made calls to the Patriots for the number 3 pick, and then that was last weekend, and then on Tuesday it was announced that we had reached out to the Commanders. And so I'm wondering if Tom Telesco was actually trying to trade up to see what it would take to move to number 3 and then swap picks with the Commanders. That way the Commanders only have to move down to number 3. And if that's the case, it would be like, okay, we're going to get all this draft capital, and instead of getting Jaden Daniels, we get a Drake May. That's a good deal for them, right? But to move back to 13, then it's like, then they're looking at Bo Nix or maybe Michael Penix or one of those guys. And I don't know if they're really too high on those guys, I think if they actually, because they brought in those 4 QBs, if they wanted and Bo Nix wasn't in there, right? Yeah, I don't think he was in there. It was Jane Daniels, Drake May, JJ McCarthy, and Michael Penix, right? And if they wanted Michael Penix, they might have gone ahead and traded back with us, and then tried to get Michael Penix at that point. But I don't think that that's who they're going for. I think it's either going to be JD5 or it's going to be Drake May. Let's see. Eric, I truly believe if we don't draft a great QB in this draft, we will have a rough 7 to 10 years going against Mahomey and Herbert. And that's the thing, man, is that we really need a quarterback that's going to be able to compete with the quarterbacks that are in our division. And really, I think that Michael Penix can compete. I don't think he's better than those guys. I think he can hold his own, though, right? I think JD5 has the potential to have the ceiling to get up there, right? I think that he could pass Herbert. Passing Mahomes is one of those things where, I don't think that we can speculate on those kind of things now, man, and try to act like, oh, we're going to draft this QB. It's going to be better than Mahomes, because let's face it, man, he's kicking our ass, and it is what it is, right? And it sucks, but I think that that's part of why stacking the defense is so important, because if we can really do the Mahomes rules, right, put some pressure on him, have some corners back there that can pick him off, that's going to be the best way to beat him. But if we can't put points on the board, because we got pretty lucky on Christmas, honestly, that the defense put up so many points because our offense did not do it. Aidan O'Connell didn't complete a pass for 3 quarters. Nasty, man, nasty. Raiders are going to end up with the worst QB no one else wants. Bo Nix, game manager, weak arm, 30% behind the line of scrimmage, doesn't take football serious. A typical Raiders draft. In past years, Josh McDaniels was here, I'd be like, man, we're going to get stuck with Bo Nix. Watch. Under Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco, I don't think that that's going to be the case. I definitely hope that's not going to be the case, but I honestly believe that that's not what's going to happen for us. I really think that there hasn't been any rumors about us looking at Bo Nix or Drake May, right? And honestly, I don't think that we're looking at either of those. That's another point I wanted to make, right? With trading up, is I don't think that we would trade up for any other quarterback besides Jaden Daniels. I don't even think that we'll trade up for Michael Penix Jr. I honestly think if there's any trade up for Michael Penix Jr., it's going to be our second pick. Is that we would pick up a tackle or a corner, and then we would trade back into the first round to get a Michael Penix Jr. I could see us doing that, but I don't think we'll move up from 13 to go get Michael Penix Jr. I like the positivity, man. And there's a lot of negativity, man. Like, I'm new to this whole thing, right? I only got 300 subs. I hit 300 today, right? So I'm actually pretty excited about that. I've only been doing this since February. And people come on the comments with some really bad negativity. One guy accused me of being a secret agent for the Kansas City Chiefs and that I wasn't a real Raiders fan. And all, like, it's like, whoa, man, like you guys come up with some weird stuff in the comments sometimes, right? And so, like, I really like when I see, like the people that we've had in the chat today and yesterday, right? A lot of positivity, a lot of realistic football thinking, and not attacking, man. Like people get on some weird shit, man. Bold take is a rumor of Dallas selling the whole draft back into the top 5. Who are they going for now, man? And what's the rumor say that they're going for? Let me know, man. I think Telesco has reached out to just about every team ahead and behind us. I think he's doing his due diligence, right? And that's what I really want to see out of a GM, right? Is like he's actually making those calls and seeing what is the price, what does it look like, what's it going to cost versus what's the benefit, and then you weigh it out from there and then make a decision, right? But if you don't really know, like, hey, what would it cost to do that, then those draft day decisions become a lot more difficult, because then you're trying to figure out, do we want to trade that much capital in order to move up to that pick, right? But what happens if your guy ends up at one of those picks? You want to know, off the top of your head, like, okay, it's going to be right about this much, right? And when you're on the clock, or when that team's on the clock, they might raise the price, right? They might say, "Yeah, I know we said this, but you're going to have to throw in an extra third or whatever, fifth," and then you make a decision at that point. Are we willing to do that? See, if we don't draft Penix at 13, we're not getting him next round. No one wants to trade with the Raiders to move up from the second round. The NFL has its evil ways. Trust me, we just don't see it. You know, it's been NFL against Raider Nation for a long time, man. Honestly, it's been longer, but the whole thing where Al sued the NFL and things like that, like I think that probably plays a role in this. I could see that for sure. Boom. Yeah, man, that's right. Let's get those subs and likes on board. Yeah, if you haven't subbed to the channel, please hit that like button. Get us in the algorithm. I'm a small page, just getting started, trying to build up. I appreciate the support. I really do, really, really do. Milo, thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Like I said, I'm new to this, man. I'm figuring it out, man. Too many teams are scared of Penix's injury history. And I think that that's pretty true. You know, um, I think a lot of teams are going to be a little scared to pick him up, especially teams that have higher picks than us, and they're going to probably look at maybe not spending that high of a pick on him. But there's a lot of teams that are deemed to not be looking for a quarterback, but they got like the Jets, right? They got Aaron Rodgers, and that dude is old. He's probably not going to play football for very long. He's coming back from the Achilles injury. And there's teams like that could say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and pick up Penix and we'll sit him for a year behind our guy. And then we'll go ahead and start him the next year. So I'd be on the lookout for that. I do want to talk about this, right? A lot of people like to define for themselves what a real Raiders fan is. If you don't agree with them, then you're not a real fan. Such BS. And there was a lot of that going on with the whole Derek Carr situation where, you're either a Kardashian or a Kardashian. And, there's a lot of division. And I don't like to see that in the nation, right? Because nothing comes above the shield. That's it, right? It's all about the shield and the players. They're just the players, and for me, I'm not going to be following a player to another team, right? And that's just where it is, right? Once I made that decision that, the Raider Nation is where it's at for me, there is nothing else, right? And if we lose a player that I like, well, that sucks, and sure, I'll wish good for him or whatever. But, if they're playing against the Raiders, it's kind of like my kid, man. My mother-in-law got my son, man, and he's a Dolphins fan, and that sucks, right? But we have this agreement. If the Raiders are playing and it's not against the Dolphins, he has a little Raiders shirt. He'll wear his Raiders shirt. He's rooting for the Raiders. And it's the same, if the Dolphins are not playing against the Raiders, I'll root for them, and support him. But I'm definitely not a fan. Let's make that clear. I'm not a fan of the Dolphins. But if the Dolphins and the Raiders are playing each other, me and him, it's all war, man. It's all war. I love my kid, man. He's 8 years old, but I'm not wanting the Raiders to lose just so he can be happy. No, no, he's gonna learn how to take those L's. All right. I think we try one last Hail Mary offer for the number 2 pick, or we trade our second round picks to get another first round pick, 13 Penix, and the other first rounder will be a right tackle or corner. I think that you're right on that. They're really looking aggressive so far. I'd be really shocked if all of a sudden they step back from that aggression and you took Penix at 13 and made no other trades. I'd be really shocked, right? That is like the hot take for me, right? Hot take, shocker of this draft is we make 0 trades. I honestly think there's going to be at least one trade, whether it's up, whether it's down, whatever that looks like. I think we're going to make a trade. And I think that you're right about that. Because they make that Hail Mary, try to get it, right? I think they're going to try. And honestly, I don't think the Commanders are going to bite. I think that they're really attached to getting their guy. And then the big question is going to be, is their guy Jaden Daniels or is it Drake May? Because if they choose Drake May, there's going to be a scramble, and I don't think we're going to be the only ones calling the Patriots to make that trade. And honestly, I think that the price on that pick at number 3, if Jaden Daniels falls, is going to be so friggin' high. I don't know, man. I still think he's worth getting, honestly. Um, Ernest, Chicago, Washington, Williams, Pats, McCarthy, Arizona, Harris to the Giants, Neighbors to the Chargers, Fuaga, Denver. Maybe I did that wrong, man. Oh yeah, you think that the Bears might pick up? Honestly, if I were the Bears, I I would choose Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams, right? And I don't know where they stand on that. Honestly, the Bears would probably be doing really good to trade with the Commanders, get some draft capital because they only have 4 picks this year, right? Trade with the Commanders, get some more picks, and then let the Commanders go get Caleb Williams, and then pick up Jaden Daniels at number 2. If I were the Bears, that's what I'd be doing. But we'll see how that goes. Deb, thanks for hitting that sub. You okay? You listened to yesterday's. Okay, cool. You weren't in the comments yesterday. I'm glad that you're speaking up. We want to hear your opinion. I think that too many times, I've seen, like, I don't know, there's some content creators out there that they don't do the lives, right? And that's why I've been trying to jump on the lives, because like I want to hear the opinions of the people in Raider Nation, instead of just going out there and putting videos that's just my ideas on stuff, because I don't think that I have all the answers. I don't think that I know everything. I don't think that I'm the best at this, right? What I do know is I love Raider Nation and I love to be involved with you guys. We got a first timer in the building. What's up, man? Hit list, man. I hope I'm not on your hit list. No, but for real, I'm glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see. If you follow Wi-Fi Willie, you're going to follow this guy. Which guy? Let me know if you're talking about me. Interesting comparison, but I know that there's a lot of hate out there for Wi-Fi Willie. I know that he's done some good stuff with Saints or whatever. What I do know is he puts out good content and he has good information. I don't always agree with his takes, and I also don't watch a ton of his videos. I watch some of them, but really, like, really, my guys are Graphic Raider and Wasted Talent. Those guys, every single video, I'm on that, man. Those guys just provide really, really good content, man. I really enjoy it. See, Navman, what you guys talking about over here? Not a fan of Wi-Fi Willie. For each their own. Conspiracy theorist stuff, and that's a difficult thing, right? Like coming into like the content creator thing and making like thumbnails, and it's like, you want to have something that's appealing to people where they want to click on it, but also, like, I don't want to be putting out clickbait. I don't want to be putting out false narratives or conspiracies, fear mongering. Like, I don't want to go that route. Really, I just want to be able to provide content, provide my views, provide some of the news and rumors that are happening. um because really it's like, I want this thing to, I don't know, man. I want it to fall in line with integrity. That's something that's big for me. I'm a person that's in long-term recovery, and integrity is very important to me. And if I start stepping out of integrity, you know I don't like where my life goes when that happens, man. And that's not saying anything about other content creators and their integrity or lack of integrity or anything like that. I'm just saying I want to be able to hold integrity on my end. So if you guys ever see me put out a video that you feel lacks integrity, let me know. Hit me up in the comments. I'm not going to get mad. And I'll take a good look at it, right? Because, I don't want to be that guy. I definitely don't want to be that guy. That's the problem right there. Is too many mock boards have us drafting panics. That's why it won't happen. And Telesco even said a player may fit and do well with other team, may not with us. Telesco meant Michael Penix Jr. He might have, and I don't really know. There's other people out there that are saying that he's the best fit for us. And I think that he has the heart. I think he's got the deep ball. I like that he's mostly a pocket passer first, but then he has the legs to go ahead and scramble if he needs to. Doesn't put himself in dangerous situations because of his injury history. So I'd like to see, man. My 2 cents, draft day. I think that's how a lot of us feel right now, man. That's how a lot of us feel. It's getting a little rowdy over here, man, for sure. Let's see. Yeah, don't let the crazy fans bother you. And we do have some uh for you're for real, brother. Hey, Ernest, thank you, man. I appreciate that, and I want to keep it real over here for sure. I don't want to deviate from that at all. Nav man, I also appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I definitely enjoy the positive feedback, but guys, I want to let you know, if you have negative feedback for me at any time, hit me up with it. I'm always open to that. Um, so I will not be showing the draft. I considered going live for the draft. Honestly, my channel is pretty small, and there's a ton of different content creators that are going live for the draft. And so I figured I'd jump on before the draft. I know a lot of us are just kind of sitting around waiting for this thing to kick off. We got another hour. No, shit, we got another hour and a half until some of the lives really start kicking off. Um, so there's going to be a lot of content creators going on about 4:30 Mountain Standard Time. I don't know what you guys are on right now. And then the draft is in 3 hours, and so I really just wanted to help kind of fill that gap for myself and for a lot of you, man. I appreciate you guys being on here for real. Being a Raiders fan is not easy, or else everybody will be with us through hard times. True fans knows the feeling of ups and downs, and that's the thing, man. Is like, you know, this fan base has been through a lot. I mean, like for me, the first year I started being a Raiders fan was in 2001. I was like 14 years old. My dad had kicked me out. There was a lot of drama going on in my life at that point. Honestly, I'll just tell you guys, my dad put a gun to my head, kicked me out. He was blacked out drunk. I was sleeping in the park. A friend of mine, him and his family took me in, and they were all Raiders fans, and it just was really like, I felt really welcome, right, to sit around the TV with my friend and his family and watch Raider games, man. And they were all from California, from LA, and it was just like a really beautiful thing, man. And I really became a Raiders fan. That was the year of the Tuck rule, which, man, that was devastating, right? Like, any of you guys in recovery, man, I put that on my 4 step, right? That was in my resentments, right? But besides that, the the next year we had Gruden, beat us in the Super Bowl, and it's nasty, nasty stuff, right? But since then we've had a lot of like rough stuff. We had the Jamarcus Russell, we had years where we were just bottom of the barrel. We've had a lot of losses. We've had a lot of things with Henry Ruggs, Derek Carr breaking his leg, Gruden email. Like, we've just had so much stuff go on, and I think that a lot of fan bases might not have the kind of solid people that we have, that like, look, we are here no matter what, right? We're gonna stick around for sure. Let's see. Now, man, what a great idea with the Bears trading back to the Commanders. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, like, if I were them, I would do that because they only have 4 picks. And honestly, if that's what happens, I wouldn't be surprised. What I'd be really surprised is if they trade back with the Commanders. Commanders get Caleb Williams, and then the Bears got somebody else. That would be the shocker for me, right? Because really, JD5, in my opinion, is the best guy out here. And yeah, I just got to put that up real quick. If you guys are not, over there at Oak Las Vegas or Wasted Talent, go look them up. They're the guys that really, there was some years that, I kind of got into that whole thing where, yeah, I was looking at stats and I'd take a look at our roster and I'd watch the highlights, and and there were some years where I wasn't really fully invested, right? It's like, oh, if it's on national TV, I'll watch it, and then um several years ago, I started working at the jail, how I told you guys earlier, right? And it was like during COVID, and we had all these like lockdowns, and so like a lot of time we spent just sitting in an office, right, trying to figure out something to do. And I ended up stumbling on Graphic Raider, and I started watching his stuff, and he really lit the fire for me, right? Of like really getting invested in Raider Nation again, really watching every single game, watching every single down, being fully invested again, right? And it had been several years since I had been so like involved with the nation, and so I'm really grateful to have stumbled across his channel, right? Because it really lit that fire for me again. Okay, cool. You said you weren't in the one yesterday live. You stumbled in a few hours ago. Cool. I'm glad that you found it, right? Let's see. Oh, I want to hear this, Ernest. Let's see. My stepdad gave me a John Brody signed football. I was 6 and already a Raider fan. Guess where that ball ended up? In the creek, flowed 10 miles into the bay. Oh man. Man, that's a cool story. I like that. Let's see. Yeah, man. Raider Ryan, they're some of the best. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen them, and Raider D, also shout out to Raider D, man. He's up and coming. I think he started about a year ago, and he was just putting out a video here and there, and then really. I've watched his channel go from like 1,000 subs to like 5,000 subs over the last like 3 months. It's been really cool watching his journey, man, and really he gave me a lot of the confidence, right? Because I'd been looking at oh, I want to start a channel, but I don't know. And then finally I saw Raider D like really up and coming. And I was like, you know what, man, I think I could do this, dude. I really do. Shout out to Raider D, man. Definitely chat sports is good too. Mitchell Rans, man, always good content. Let's see, Hammer. Gotta talk about Hammer. Lunatic. I don't think I'm following Lunatic, man. I'm gonna check out Lunatic when I get off from here. I want to find Lunatic. Definitely, like, and it's funny because like I've seen on social media, like, other fan bases are like, I don't know why you guys have so many content creators when you got this team that's not like a Super Bowl or recent Super Bowl winning team and all this stuff. And it's like, you don't understand, like Raider Nation, like we love our team, man. Let's see, what's going on, Ernest? We see, we know right away who you are, you fit, but just remember you belong to us now. Oh man, I can't get out, man. This is blood in, blood out, huh? All right, I see you, man. Let's see, how can we get excited when we're always disappointed every year? Haven't we learned yet? No matter who the GM is, it is scripted for us to reach in the draft. No names, they don't value QBs. I don't jump on that whole thing of the script, right? I know a lot of people like the whole NFL script, and I think that there could be some influences that do this or that or whatever. I feel like there's a turn that's happening for us, right? The move to Vegas was one part of that. All of a sudden, Mark Davis isn't one of the poorest GM owners. I mean, he's one of the rich. He's moving up in the world. He went from the millions to billions. And now, with AP Telesco, I honestly see us moving in a really positive direction, right? So if that's in the script for us, cool. I'm all about it. See, Salt Lake City used to live right behind the image of Vegas over your right shoulder. Okay, cool. I'm in New Mexico, right? Um, just a little bit north of Santa Fe, little town, man, called Espanola, man. But yeah, I'm in New Mexico, Mountain Standard Time. Let's see. Damn true. How old are you? I'm 36, man. 36. Not quite on the get off my lawn gang yet, but I'm starting to get those grays like wasted. uh, let's see. Drop kick. I remember watching Bo Jackson with the Raiders. It's when I became a fan. And Bo Jackson's definitely before my time. Amazing athlete. He was a seventh rounder, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And that's another thing I saw a comparison for, right? Is like too many people were like, oh, like we can't trade up, like, we can't move on from these draft picks to get a quarterback. But some of our best players have come in those late rounds, like a Bo Jackson, Max Crosby. Like most of our starters right now were not first rounders. So like if we trade off some first rounders, get that quarterback of the future, and then build the draft with those later rounds, I would not be upset about that at all. And there's some really good free agents out there too, especially corners. Howard is still available. I think Gilmore, I think he's still available. So there's a lot of promise there. Let's see. That beef between Graf and Raider Honcho, they actually squashed that. They squashed that. They actually went live together. Go check it out. It was very interesting to see those guys, kind of get over that whole thing, and I love to see that, man. I love to see people just learn and grow, you know. See, Navman, Marcus Allen was what really got you right. Then the full invested in Tim Brown. Tim Brown was a dog, man. And I don't know, man. It's man, Tim Brown. And he's one of our alumni that's really showing up too, and I really love to see that. And if you guys haven't seen it, yeah, Mitch and Graf have been teaming up a bit. And Mitchell Renz was actually on Raider D's show at one point too, and that's really cool to see like content creators getting together, because really we're all working in the same direction, right? And I don't want to see anybody having beef with anybody. It's like, I think that we can all build and learn from each other and really just put out content for the nation, right? Because we got a fan base that like shows up like no other, and we really need to be able to show up in a really good, positive way. Let's see. Fans don't understand defense will have injuries, and even if we draft an offensive tackle, expect O line injuries. And when you don't have the QB that can elevate, you never win. Elite QB teams have injuries too, but they win. That's a big point, right? For one, something I get out of this is that we lack depth, and we really do lack depth in a big, big way. But another part of that is that, like, if you have a stacked roster and a very mid quarterback, you can win games. But when players start going down with those injuries and all of a sudden you're having second or third stringers in there starting, then all of a sudden your QB is not going to be able to show up in the same way at all. And when you have somebody that can't move around in the pocket like Aidan O'Connell, that's when it's going to get really rough, those kind of games, especially late in the season or in a playoff run. A lot of times big name players go out on injuries in the playoffs, and then it's like who's going to show up for you in those times? You really need a quarterback. That is for sure. See, Raider X. I grew up in LA in the 80s, and it was the Raiders and the Rams there. My dad liked the Rams, so I chose the Raiders. Been a diehard fan ever since. Yeah, man. That's legit. That's legit. I like that story. That's cool, man. Let me see. Michael Moore. I wish for Mitchell, then trade up for Penix. Yeah, if we could pick up Mitchell in the first round, trade back into the first round, get Michael Penix. Super happy. We were talking about that earlier, man. And I think that if we really lock down our defense with a really good corner, especially on a rookie deal, um, and then pick up a quarterback like Penix that really he's a dynamic player that can really offer a lot more than the quarterbacks in our roster, man, I would be happy. I really think that would be good. Yeah. Alex Leatherwood ain't leather. Jamarcus Russells and Alex Leatherwoods. If you look at our first round picks over the last several years, man, the only one on our roster still is Colton Miller. That's it. So, for me, I'm not too attached to those first round picks. If we can get our quarterback of the future with them picks, send them, full send. Any tips on how not to get gray hairs? They're not showing up too much right now, man, but I got a ton of gray hairs in here. I got gray hairs up here on the sides. They're just not really showing on the screen too much, man. But definitely got some gray. Ever since I had kids, there's been a lot more of them. That's for sure. Let's see, am I going to be live tomorrow? I was considering maybe going live tomorrow. I'm not really sure. It's really hard because there's a lot of content creators that are going to be live for the whole draft, and I don't really know. Let me know. What do you guys think? You guys want me to go live? You think that's better if I go live? I'm definitely available. I took time off from work. I took today off. Um, I'm not scheduled for tomorrow. I'll be off of work, man. So I'll be around. I'll be available. If you guys want me to go live, let me know, man. I might just have to do it. Let's see. Do, 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 do. Bo. Bo was initially picked in the first round by Tampa Bay, but refused to play for them. Signed with KC Royals and then selected by Raiders in the seventh. Interesting, interesting. And there's like a lot of stories about players refusing to play for the teams that they were drafted by, and a lot of people are saying that there's smoke around that with Jaden Daniels. And honestly, like I'm not gonna hate on him if he did something like that to play for us, but I don't think that that's what's gonna happen. Honestly, I think he's gonna go wherever he's selected, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Let's see. If the Raiders draft another defensive end, it's time to pack up the organization and call it a career. It has to be a QB. The Raiders can't use the excuse because they couldn't get Jaden. Nothing else matters. Honestly, we need a QB. And the big one's going to be if one of these QBs that we actually deem to be a good prospect is going to be available at 13. Because it could be that they like Michael Penix Jr. and he's not available. Maybe he gets picked up earlier. Maybe a team trades up, or there's a lot of teams in front of us that need a QB. I think in the top 13, there's 6 teams that need a QB, and then there's also teams that are going to need a QB in the next, 1 to 3 years. So, he might not fall to us, honestly. Picking up a DE, that would be like, I think the only thing that we could pick up in the first round that would kind of piss me off. Yeah, I don't think we need a defensive end right now. A tackle, defensive tackle, I don't think it would be the best decision for us to go that first round. But if we picked up one in the second, okay, I could see that. Let's see. Would you guys rather have Fuaga or Mitchell at 13? What do you guys think? Fuaga? Okay. Honestly, I think that there's a lot more that we can do in free agency when it comes to corners. If we don't pick up our guy of the future, for that cornerback 1 spot. Also, we got Jacorian Bennett, right? And he was a 4th rounder out of Georgia last year. And I really think that he got thrown in a little early. I don't think he was quite ready. There was some weird stuff that happened with him. I really think that Jacorian Bennett could have a breakout year if he really got up to NFL speed. I mean, he's a quick corner, and his tape from college was really, really good. And if he can show up in that kind of ability in the NFL, we might not even need a corner. We could probably use one for some depth, but that's about it. So we're coming up on an hour and a half, guys. What do you guys think, man? I think that we're kind of dwindling down, getting ready to wrap it up. Let me know if you guys have any more questions before we jump off. Oh God. Yeah. If we end up with the Bo Nix or Michael Pratt, I'd be upset. Yeah, I don't want either of those QBs, to be straight with you. I really, really don't. Take it easy, Tom. Hope you enjoy the draft tonight. Glad you found me, man. I look forward to seeing you in the future, man. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up, guys. Let's see. Ooh, I think I seen Jaden in DC a few minutes ago. Are you in DC? Because he did say that he was gonna go ahead and be in Detroit for the draft, that he wasn't gonna do that whole thing of sitting at home. He said it's a once in a lifetime event, that you got to be there. You got to walk across that stage. You got to go experience it. And I think I think that's important too, man. Speaks to his character. The only 2 QBs you'd be bummed about is McCarthy or Nix. Yeah, I don't think that JJ McCarthy is that guy either. Now if he fell and we were able to pick him up in a second round, sure, okay, but yeah, definitely wouldn't want to pick him at 13, man. That's where I feel about it. Nav man, we cannot take a CB in the first round unless the OT we want is not there. The D line will make our back end better as it is. And that's true, right? And like I like Terry Arnold, I like Mitchell. These guys are really, really good. But there's some corners later that we could pick up if we really want to pick up one in the draft. You know, Demokes. Hey, Demokes, you found me, man. I've been seeing you on other chats too. Welcome, man. AOC MVP incoming. You know, and that would be the shocker of the year. It really would. But you know, he might make that jump in year two. He really, really might. Let's see. Court dog, you're trolling, huh? Trolling, okay. Let's see, man. I'm gonna slap a few strangers if we end up with Bo Nix, man. Y'all are funny, man. Y'all are funny. Um, yeah, but you know, really, that's gonna be it for today, guys. I gotta wrap things up. I gotta help my kid get ready. Um, you know, he's gonna be off. He's going to a dress rehearsal, man. He's like doing this like breakdance thing, man. So yeah, I'm gonna help get him ready and stuff. Uh, I really appreciate your guys' support. Glad you're here. I might end up going live. You know, I don't think I'll go live tonight. Um, I'll go ahead and put out a video after our, you know, pick or picks. So keep a lookout for that. And then, you know, tomorrow I might end up going live, man. So keep a lookout. You know, I'll try to if I end up deciding to go live, I'll schedule it that way it shows that I'm going to be on. So you guys check that out if you get a chance. You know, I definitely love the nation, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.